Yesterday evening in the city of Cincinnati, Ohio, investigated a triple homicide and two attempted murders in the city. As they were doing their investigation, as they continued to follow up on leads, they learned that the suspect made his way here to Detroit. We received information early this morning, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, that the suspect was here at a motel at Jefferson and Brevard. The officers quickly mobilized and opted to do surveillance at the location where they believed he was held up. I'm going to take a moment and give tremendous credit to one of our supervisors who made the wise decision not to immediately approach this hotel. She was concerned about the safety of guests that were at the hotel at the time. Our officers knew this was an armed suspect, a person who was armed with multiple weapons. So they opted to wait, and the plan was to approach him once he exited the hotel, not endangering additional lives. So as they waited around 9:50 this morning, the suspect exited. As he was coming out of the hotel, he observed officers deployed at the location. He made his way to a parked vehicle, and then he turned and opened fire on our officers. Our officers responded. Multiple officers fired, striking this suspect several times. He has been transported to a local hospital where he's being treated for his injuries. He's listed in critical condition. There's an active murder warrant in a system out of Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio. The suspect's name is Chandra Moore. He's a male black, 55 years of age. At the conclusion of the active shooting incident, our team recovered 3 handguns, 1 semi-automatic, and 2 revolvers. So at this point, he is being treated at a local hospital for his injuries. Again, he did commit a triple homicide out of the city of Cincinnati, and there's 2 additional victims of attempt murder, a total of 5 victims. Does anyone have any questions?
What is his condition now? Is it life-threatening?
Critical.
How the officers, were they injured at all?
None of the officers were injured, fortunately. Again, I want to give a lot of credit for professionalism. The initial decision this morning, I believe if they had gone to the location and tried to apprehend this suspect, it would have been gun battle, and it certainly would have endangered additional lives. And so the right decision was made. Again, that's why I applaud the police department.
Can you talk about how terrifying that must have been for your officers in that parking lot as this guy opens fire?
Well, let me share this little insight. So as the suspect was exiting, there were several officers that were still positioned inside of a unmarked surveillance van. Apparently he must have known, or we believe he must have known, that there were officers inside. He began to fire at that vehicle as well. Fortunately, not one officer was struck by gunfire.
I'm sorry. Did he first spot the marked, unmarked, or
I'm not certain who he spotted, but what was described to me, as he left the hotel or the motel, he was looking around, basically looking for police officers. And he saw that, and so he took his time. He went to a vehicle that was parked, he positioned himself, and then immediately opened fire. And again, we've recovered 3 handguns from the scene.
How are you guys tipped off that he may be in Detroit, maybe at this hotel?
I can't go into that level of detail. There was information that the Special Operations Unit out of the 9th Precinct received. They quickly responded, set up a surveillance detail here, and waited. Very patient.
Chief, you had a past life in Cincinnati. What do you make of someone going from there to here? You don't hear about those 2 cities connected very often.
Yeah, that was interesting. So I've heard from a couple of my colleagues, and so, in fact, the homicide unit, members of that team are en route to Detroit as we speak.
Chief, talk about this guy. Is he from Cincinnati?
He's a resident of Cincinnati. The murders took place in what's called District 2, the community of Evanston, I think it is. And that's where the initial murder took place.
And was he alone here at this hotel?
He was alone, as far as
Were the weapons found in his room or in the car?
information I got adjacent to the car. He was armed, shooting one of the three weapons. Not certain which one, but he was armed with a semi-auto and 2 revolvers. So I'm not sure which weapon was used when he decided to engage the officers.
You know, for whatever reason he decided to come to Detroit, what is your message to somebody who's, you know, being investigated for some very violent crimes in a different city and then decides to come here to Detroit?
The message is simple. Our police officers are relentless in tracking down violent suspects. Come to the city of Detroit, we'll find you. And this was a great example of great collaborative work between 2 different agencies, one in another state. This is what we do as an agency, and what, you know, and having been part of the Cincinnati Police Department, that's how they do it as well. So great collaboration, and we were able to really save lives. This was a very dangerous suspect. Clearly, he was focused on one thing, and that's take additional lives. He tried to take out police officers unsuccessfully.
Do you know anything about the victims?
I don't know anything about the victims. One was the first victim, I'm told, was stabbed, was his estranged wife. She was the first casualty, and I don't know the relationship of the 2 additional.
Do you know if they were stabbed as well or shot?
They were shot, I'm told.
Ex-wife stabbed.
Ex-wife was, the information I got, she was fatally stabbed, and the additional victims were shot.
So, Chief, we have homicides in one city. We have officers shot at here. Who is going to get the first crack legally?
Well, right now he's here. Certainly, there's an active murder warrant. Certainly, we're going to pursue the assault on our police officers. But I would imagine that the felony murder will take precedence, and that'll be between the prosecutorial agencies, and one in Hamilton County and Cincinnati, and then here in Wayne County, they'll decide on the next course of action.
Chief, apologies, my photographer just showed up. If we could just answer just a couple of straight questions, I got some of it on my phone.
Okay.
But again, we're here because your officers were able to locate and identify a murder suspect out of Cincinnati. Tell us what happened this morning at the motel here.
Well, once they received information in the early hours of this morning, officers quickly responded here and set up a surveillance plan in detail. The decision was made because they wanted to make sure that they didn't endanger the lives of any of the guests who may have been at this hotel. So the option or the decision was to wait till he left the hotel, and then take him into custody, hopefully without incident. Of course, when he came out of the hotel this morning about 9:50, he was looking around as if he was looking for police officers. He did observe a police officer. He made his way to his parked vehicle and then immediately engaged the officers by firing shots at them. In addition to firing shots at officers who were outside of their vehicles, he also fired at a occupied van where surveillance officers were inside at the time. Fortunately, no officer was injured. Multiple officers fired rounds. The suspect was shot several times, and he's being treated and in critical condition right now. 3 guns were recovered, 1 semi-automatic and 2 revolvers.
Pretty amazing that no officers were injured in the motel.
You know, what a blessing. This could have been a very tragic situation this morning, given his focus on trying to take the life of a police officer in this instance. But again, certainly the professionalism, the presence of mind, but I really have to give a lot of praise for that one sergeant who, instead of just rushing in, trying to go in and apprehend this very violent suspect, opted to wait. And the wait paid off, because there's no doubt in my mind, if they had hit the door, executed on that search warrant, and made entry, it would have been a shooting situation. And just imagine what that would have looked like. Could have been an innocent guest here at this hotel that would have been shot.
And we're talking
Killed.
about a very dangerous man. He had stabbed his estranged wife.
Yes, very dangerous. Stabbed and then shot the additional victims. So again,
Chief,
there is a murder warrant in the system out in Hamilton County. Cincinnati, Ohio.
Do you want to share that supervisor's name?
I'd rather not at this point, only because it just. But I'm going to certainly make mention. We're going to recognize her for her presence of mind. I will say that she was. I know you're going to fact check me, but I got to say it. She was the first DPD female SRT officer. She just recently got promoted because of her skill set. She's certainly doing a wonderful job on the east side of the city. And again, her presence of mind, her professionalism certainly paid off.
Thank you, Chief.
Chief, appreciate it. How do you spell the suspect's name?